You know that silence when 70,000 people forget they're supposed to be cheering when something happens on the field that's bigger than football? These aren't highlights. These are the 8 moments when the game stopped being a game and showed us something real about loss, love, and why we keep watching even when it hurts. And the last one, it made the most hostile fans in football do something unthinkable. Moment number 8, Chuck Hughes, the game that wouldn't stop. October 24th, 1971, Chuck Hughes catches a 32-yard pass with 62 seconds left at Tiger Stadium. 3 steps later, he collapses and dies right there on the field. The only NFL player to ever die during a game. But here's what nobody talks about. The game kept going. Hughes was 28, with a 2-year-old son named Brandon. And his heart? Basically a ticking time bomb. Imagine 3/4 of your main fuel line completely blocked, and nobody knew. The doctors thought they got it beating once, then it stopped again. All while players are still running plays, because what else do you do when someone's dying at the 40-yard line? Even Dick Butkus. Think about that for a second. Dick Butkus immediately signals for medical help. And if you know anything about him, you know that's like watching a pit bull cry. The truly haunting part? Hughes had collapsed during preseason with chest pains, but was cleared to play. The Lions retire number 85 immediately. The league completely overhauls its medical protocols, and Chuck Hughes becomes this permanent reminder that all of this can end in a heartbeat, or the absence of one. But 4 years earlier, a different kind of death was happening in professional football. Moment number 7, when football took a stand. January 1965, and 21 black AFL players are about to do something that would change sports forever. Led by Clem Daniels and Art Powell, they tell the entire league to go to hell by boycotting the All-Star game in New Orleans. Picture walking into a Bourbon Street bar as a professional athlete, and the entire place goes silent. Not impressed silent, but you don't belong here silent. The bands literally stop mid-song. Your All-Star status? Worthless. Your skin color? Everything. These players sacrificed bonuses that would have changed their families' lives. The AFL panicked, moved the entire game to Houston in less than a week. Cookie Gilchrist's words still echo, "We're not going to be put in the position of being boy entertainers." This was the first time athlete activism directly changed a major sporting event. Every time an athlete takes a knee today, they're following a path carved by guys who decided dignity was worth more than glory. Speaking of athletes who redefined what strength means, moment number 6, Eric Berry's war with cancer. December 8th, 2014, Eric Berry gets diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at 25, right in the middle of an all-pro season. His dad, James, tells this story that'll wreck you. They're at breakfast when it hits Eric. "Wow, man, I have cancer." Father and son just crying together over eggs and coffee. But watch what happens next. Berry chooses the harder chemo, IV instead of a port, specifically so he can return faster. He moves back with his parents, falls asleep watching Lord of the Rings marathons on their couch like he's 10 again. 6 phases of chemo, 40 pounds gone. Then, September 2015 in Atlanta, the exact city where he got treatment, Berry doesn't just play. He goes absolutely nuclear. 2 interceptions off Matt Ryan, 1 for a touchdown. And get this, the NFL's first ever pick 2 on a 2-point conversion. His mom's crying in the stands, and after the game, he gives her the ball and says something that still doesn't compute. The whole cancer deal was actually a privilege. That's someone who looked death in the face and found meaning. But what about when death comes before life even begins? Moment number 5, Marquise Goodwin's impossible choice. November 12th, 2017. At 3:52 a.m., Marquise Goodwin's son is delivered stillborn. They named him Marquise Jr., picked out his first outfit, set up the nursery, and somehow, I still can't process this, his wife Morgan tells him to play that afternoon because his son wouldn't be able to watch him play. Can you imagine making that drive to the stadium? Goodwin keeps calling, "Babe, I don't know if I can do this." 3rd and 10 from their own 17, CJ Beathard throws, and what happens next is why we watch sports. 83 yards later, Goodwin crosses the goal line, blows a kiss to the sky, and completely breaks down. 68,000 people in Levi's Stadium don't even know why he's sobbing. His teammates surround him, creating this protective circle around grief. He says the exact words Brett Favre said 14 years earlier, "I knew that my dad would have wanted me to play." Maybe grief makes us all reach for the same phrases. The Goodwins now have 2 healthy children, and Marquise still blows kisses skyward for the son who never saw one. But wait until you see what happened when death visited on live television. Moment number 4. Damar Hamlin, 9 minutes that changed everything. January 2nd, 2023, Monday Night Football, 8:55 p.m. Routine tackle. Hamlin stands for 3 seconds, adjusts his face mask, then drops. Cardiac arrest. His heart stopped because his chest got hit at the exact wrong millisecond. Odds? 1 in millions. Here's what you didn't see on TV. 9 minutes of CPR while essentially the population of Texas, 23.8 million people, watches in complete silence. For the first time in NFL history, they just stopped the game. Not the league office, the players. Stephon Diggs openly weeping. Joe Burrow telling coaches, "I'm not going back out there." The ripple effect was insane. The American Heart Association website literally crashed. In 3 days, Hamlin's charity GoFundMe jumps from pocket change to nearly $9 million. But here's what got me. His first words after waking up, written on a clipboard because he couldn't speak. Did we win? When they told him he was down 9 minutes, he wrote 1 word. Damn. He returns by October, but says, "I don't want to be just known as the player who lived." Because even when you literally die and come back, you want to be more than your worst moment. Sometimes, though, the most powerful tribute is an empty space. Moment number 3, Washington's empty field. December 2nd, 2007. 5 days after Sean Taylor was murdered at 24, something unprecedented happens. Washington lines up with only 2 men, leaving Taylor's free safety position completely empty. Nobody told head coach Joe Gibbs. The players just decided. Think about that strategy for a second. Buffalo gains 22 yards because there's literally nobody deep. But that wasn't the point. The point was making absence visible, showing all 91,000 people what was missing. Taylor wasn't even supposed to be home during the break-in. He was recovering from a knee injury. The bullet severed his femoral artery. Doctors said he shouldn't have survived 8 hours, but he fought until 3:30 a.m. The crowd waves white number 21 towels. Imagine tens of thousands of them swirling around FedEx Field like ghosts. The team wins 4 straight after that tribute. Like Taylor still playing safety from somewhere else. If Washington showed us how to honor the dead, New Orleans showed us how to resurrect the living. Moment number 2. Steve Gleason saves New Orleans. September 25th, 2006. The Saints haven't played home in 21 months because Katrina basically deleted New Orleans. 8 out of every 10 homes underwater. The Superdome itself, a nightmare shelter where people died waiting for rescue. 90 seconds into their return, remember this number, 90 seconds, Steve Gleason blocks a punt. The Superdome doesn't just get loud. The seismograph at Tulane University registers it as an actual earthquake. This 5'11" undrafted nobody who almost got cut 3 times just gave 73,000 people permission to believe again. 5 years later, Gleason gets ALS. Now he writes with his eyes. There's a bronze statue of that block outside the Superdome called Rebirth. First NFL player to receive the Congressional Gold Medal. But here's what absolutely destroys me. Another ALS patient told Gleason, "That punt block actually saved my life." Without that moment of hope, he would have given up. That's a football play literally keeping someone alive years later. But the most emotional moment? It happened in the last place you'd expect compassion. Moment number 1. Brett Favre's gift to his father. December 22nd, 2003. Brett Favre gets the call at 4:30 p.m. His dad, Irvin, just died of a heart attack. Big Irv was 58, Favre's high school coach, his hero. The funeral's in 3 days. Monday Night Football is tomorrow. What would you do? Favre plays. And what happens in Oakland shouldn't be possible. He completes his first 9 passes, throws 4 touchdowns in the first half alone. 399 yards total. Numbers he never matched again. Like grief transformed into perfection. Donald Driver tells the team, "Anything he throws, we catch. I don't care if you gotta climb a ladder." Wesley Walls catches a touchdown with 3 Raiders draped on him. Javon Walker scores through quadruple coverage. Even the Raiders defender Akbar Bajabiamila becomes convinced his father was there. But here's the moment that proves sports transcends everything. 4th touchdown, Favre looks up and the Oakland fans, the black hole, the most hostile crowd in football who literally dress like death and pride themselves on psychological warfare, they give Brett Favre a standing ovation. 60,000 people wearing skull masks, standing and applauding. Because sometimes grief is bigger than team colors. bigger than rivalries, bigger than the game itself. These moments aren't about football. They're about what happens when life crashes into sport. They're about what happens when life crashes into sport and strips away everything except what actually matters. If one of these hit you, you already know why. If they didn't, just wait. Your moment's coming.